Redditors who don't talk to their best friends anymore. What made the relationship not work out? One of my best friends from college. We moved to different cities after graduation. For a while we would visit each other like once a month. See each other back at school. I never even got the chance to miss her because it felt like seeing her again was just around the corner. Then she got a boyfriend. It turned into, oh my gosh, I miss you. We have to plan something soon. Which would work out at first, then decreased in frequency. Texting funny things slowly disappeared as our shared experiences faded into the background. When she got married, I was in her wedding. It just felt so different. There weren't many people from college at her wedding. The ones who were there, we all just felt like a different phase of her life. At the rehearsal dinner, when people would give toasts, I realized that there was so much I didn't know about her life now. And the stories I told no longer seemed relevant to who she was. Communication just naturally trickled down after that. To the point where I'm still on the Christmas card list, but there's a good chance that will be the only communication I have with her. While I miss that old friendship, some relationships are just naturally set up to be great for a moment in time and remembered fondly thereafter. She found out that her now husband had a crush on me in high school. I didn't really even know the guy back then. He got drunk one night and told us all, assuming that we could all take it lightly and as a joke. Well, she didn't. She never spoke to me again after that night. We became roommates. I'm sure I did something to piss him off, but I'm not sure what, because he literally just stopped talking to me one day, like a fucking 5-year-old. The first day it happened, I honestly thought he was just having a shit day, but then it turned into weeks and 2 months, and then I moved out and never talked to him again. He got married. A single Facebook messages alive managed to get out of him since then. I talked with his sister briefly a few years back and asked what was up with them. She paused and said, I don't want to say anything bad about her, but I can't think of anything good. He always dated crazy girls when we were in school, and he always became a bit of an idiot while he was dating them. I kind of hoped he would learn from those experiences and end up with someone better, but it seems like he just kept looking for the same thing he always did. I was a casual marijuana smoker, and they got into progressively harder and harder drugs. She was cheating on her boyfriend of 7 years with a guy she met on Ashley Madison. When the boyfriend found out they had a big blow up, broke up, and he came over to apologize to me about things he had said about me. Apparently over the course of the affair, she had used me as a scapegoat at every opportunity, to the point where the boyfriend hated my guts and thought I was a horrible person. I stopped talking to her. My roommate from college. He was a great guy. Unfortunately, after he got really successful in his career, he started telling everyone that poor people are poor because they are stupid and they should have no rights. Basically, he believes only successful people should be able to vote and have children. Stopped talking to him 2 years ago and met him last year at a friend's wedding. He argued with pretty much everyone the whole time, saying some stupid racist shit. I couldn't believe how money can change a person. We were best friends from age 11 till around 22. Once we left high school, she started partying pretty hard. Lots of drinking and drugs, and we struggled to maintain our friendship. The last straw was when my older brother died. I tried calling her over and over and leaving her voicemails to call me back because I wanted to tell her and I wanted her to come to the funeral. She didn't call me back, so finally I texted her that my brother died and sent her the funeral info. Apparently she had been arrested around then, and she told her mom it was my fault for texting her something so upsetting, and that it was cruel of me to not speak to her directly. Her mom informed me they felt her DUI was my fault. So, my sibling died, but I should have been more considerate of her feelings, and her choice to drink and drive was my fault. I haven't spoken to her since. It's been almost 13 years since then. Every once in a while she'll pop up on my On This Day on Facebook. We didn't delete each other on FB until a few years after that. I've checked her profile. She seems pretty aimless and unhappy, and frankly, she deserves it. She has the life she built for herself. I told her I was gay, and she slowly floated away after that. Asked my friend if he wanted to hang out because I was leaving. Left me on read. Asked another friend if she wanted to hang out because I was leaving. Never read it. Asked yet another friend if she wanted to hang out because I was leaving. Reschedules every time. I don't know what's wrong with me. No one is telling me what it is. So I'm cutting contact with everyone so they don't have to deal with me anymore. We were neighbors growing up but never attended the same school. We spent every bit of free time together and had a blast playing video games or sports. Each other's families treated us like family. This went on for about 16 years. Once we reached high school, we started to drift apart due to separate friend groups and relationships. As we grew up, we began to have differing values. We got in a big argument one weekend on a topic that, in a big picture, was very small. I haven't talked to my childhood best friend since that weekend though. It has been more than 5 years. There are times where I wish I could go back to relive the memories. I think I'm in the process of losing a best friend right now, or maybe have been for a while, but only now I'm realizing that I may have been a toxic friend for him, unintentionally keeping his self-esteem down and not treating him like an equal. I'm afraid he is better off without me and don't know what to do because I miss him, but he doesn't seem to be interested in getting in touch with me. But I also realize I probably don't deserve a second chance. She just suddenly stopped talking to me despite me reaching out several times. I found out through the grapevine that she got married and had a kid at 19, which blew me out of the water. She wasn't that type of person at all. This was my best friend of almost 10 years, and that's not her. I never heard about any of this, and also learned that I was the only person in our friend group that got cut out. I've done a lot of self-reflection about this, mostly because I don't want to repeat whatever I did in future relationships, but goddammit, I just cannot figure out what I did to deserve the axe. Had a very good childhood friend, extremely talented but incredibly vain and egocentric. Ever since I got married, she was my witness, and had a child she stopped talking to me and got very awkward. I tried several times to rekindle the friendship, but am met with silence. I don't know why it all went pear-shaped, but I decided to stop trying. My best friend of many years have decided to stop talking to me after I became heavily depressed following my mother's death. She said that I wasn't fun to hang out with anymore and she, along with some of our mutual friends, held an intervention for me and demanded that I cure myself because I make them feel bad with my sadness. They told me they would love to see me again after I got fixed, but they don't want me there in my current state. I was extremely hurt, so I told them I'm not some broken fridge to be fixed and to fuck off, and I haven't really spoken to them since. Eventually I got back in touch with some of them, but our relationship will never be like how it was before. To be fair, I have to admit that my mother's death has changed me drastically. I became more reserved, and I wasn't interested in the things I used to love. Since our friendship was mostly based on drinking and partying together to forget how shitty our lives are, me not doing that anymore have shifted our dynamic way too much. We became friends because we were all black sheeps in our community and we all had shit we wanted to numb ourselves about. They only liked the crazy, reckless part of me that would done anything to feel something, and when I couldn't keep that up anymore they didn't want me at all. I had no other close friends at the time, so the first few weeks I felt more alone than I've ever had in my entire life. It was like I've had my heart broken by someone. I felt like I've been betrayed, and even though I wanted to crawl back to them, I was too proud to do so. Turns out it was the right decision, because now 3 years later I'm surrounded by people who really care about me, and I finally feel safe. For months I was so mad at them for not being there, and for how they've decided to handle our issues, but with time I've realized that I cannot ask others to save me from myself, and that the pressure I put on them about this was probably way too much for them. I know that we didn't want the same things from each other, and that we are probably better off as strangers, especially considering how different paths we chose in life. My only regret is not trying to reach out to my former best friend, because she got stuck in that crowd and I know she is just as miserable there as I was back then, but she is afraid to leave and be alone. Found out he was a pedophile, that didn't think anything was wrong with it. Best friend for like 7 or 8 years. He was a senior when I was a freshman in high school. We played D&D together and got really close. His family liked me, We were tight as can be. He always seemed to date girls who were 18, but at the time he was like 22 or so, and I didn't think anything of it. Then he had a shotgun wedding, and eventually a divorce. A really bad one, that involved a computer of his being turned into the cops. Long story short, he was charged with having child pornography. He went to prison for a few years. His parents are very rich, and got out. Came back and I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and tried to be friends with him. Now he was 27 and only dated younger girls, and looked even younger. He even tried to hook up with someone I was seeing, because she looked a bit younger. That's when I realized who he really was, and literally never spoke to him again. My best friend from elementary school was caught molesting my younger sister. Things were never the same between us since then. Sadly, it also ruined me on friendships for the most part. Other than my wife, I don't get close to people anymore. Ended up living in different towns. Stopped talking so much. His fiancée reached out to me to meet after years, and had to prompt him to ask if I wanted to be a groomsman. I said sure, but also pointed out he sounded reluctant to ask. Didn't hear from him for a while. Got called by his fiancée again. Saw him and his brother there. They both said they were hoping to see me, but had been in town for 4 days. Also made plans for the next day. Never heard from them again. Hope the wedding was nice. Went traveling. Spent much time out of town. Hard to stay in touch. One-way effort. After I got back, I realized we were all 28 years old and these guys just wanted to smoke weed and play video games. I realized how much of our jokes were centered around shit-talking each other. They're always living paycheck to paycheck. Hated anything that involved walking for more than 8 minutes. We hadn't done anything fun like a camping trip in years. They had defeatist and spiteful attitudes, like crabs in a bucket trying to keep each other down. I thought they had tragically changed while I was gone, but pretty sure now that I did. Anyways, decided I didn't want to live the remainder of my 20s like they were, and pretty much quit trying to reach out to them. It was hard and still sucks sometimes, but I like the people I chill with now way better. I met this kid in my science class in 8th grade. We instantly became best friends. We did everything together. I would stay at his house for weeks at a time. I was poor. He was well off. But we have a love of video games. We stayed best friends till about 10th grade, when he go into wrestling and sports and became popular. I didn't, and we just drifted apart. One day we were both playing a EverQuest, and I left my group. I had a mutual friend in the group with me, because someone outside my dungeon needed a raise. As a cleric, I felt obligated to help. I was going to come back to the group right after. My ex-best friend messaged me calling me a dick for ditching the group. Our mutual friend who was in my group told him, and I had it. I told him to come over, and we could settle this like men. He did. We fought, and I'll never forget how hitting him in the face felt. I felt nothing but shame that this is where our friendship had gone. He beat the shit out of me after that first punch and left. I went inside and cried for a few minutes. Prom at my girlfriend's high school was a week away. I went with a nice black eye. I didn't talk to him for years after that. A decade or more. But he ended up going through a lot of shit, and he reached out to me to apologize for how shitty he was to me in high school. We play video games almost every day together now, and I consider him the brother I never had. I love you, Rich. No homo. I used to be more extroverted, but my confidence changed when I got to high school. I got depressed, and nowadays I can't hold a conversation to save my life. He texts me sometimes, sends memes, but it hasn't been the same for a long time. My friend moved to another country. Usually that's fine. I have other friends that have done that, and we still keep in touch. However, moving to this new country absolutely changed him. Suddenly he thought he was hot. He really wasn't. He started hitting on one of our other friends at the time in the absolutely grossest way. Let me know if you guys wanna read what he said. I wrote it down. Dude just became an ass and would constantly talk about all the pussy he was getting. He really wasn't. No idea what he's up to these days, but I honestly don't care. Had a best friend for a couple years in my early 30s. She eventually had an affair with my husband, and he left me for her. Kinda ruined the friendship doing that. Now they are married and have another kid. She's very vindictive and hates me, but I have no idea why. I never retaliated against either of them, and even got hosed in the divorce. My ex and I only communicate when it directly involves a son. They've tried to take full custody and get me to pay half of everything and take less child support. He makes a fortune for the Midwest, over 3x my salary and upper middle class, at least, and I'm just starting to do well on my own. After rebuilding my life was a Sam, so no income through divorce. I think she's jealous that I've made something of myself, and she hates being reminded of her guilt and uselessness. She's never been truly independent. Now she's clearly a gold digger. I met my ex in college when we were both dirt poor. She tries to use my son to antagonize me now and then. It stings, but I remind myself she's jealous and that gives me strength. He started dating my sister, married my sister, with my blessing. All I wanted was to be left out of their drama, if they had any. It was literally my only condition. Immediately starting fighting a lot with my sister after the marriage and drinking a lot. Then he and my GF starting hanging out as friends. Red flag in retrospect, I know. At first it was not an issue, and I wanted them to be friendly, since we are spending a lot of time together at family functions and we double dated a lot with my Cs. Like I didn't need them to stop talking to each other, or make it weird. Then because of all the drama with my Cs and him being ever present in my life, I wanted space from him. He was super needy and always wanting to hang out and talking about how we aren't as close anymore. I just wanted space. Then he slept with my GF. Cause that's what you do when your friend needs space from you. So, yeah. Fuck that guy. His girlfriend died and he shut himself off from the world. I've tried reaching out and getting him to leave his house countless times, but after a while we all just gave him what he wants. A fake he just works, drinks, and watches TV. Nothing. We have been friends since elementary school, mid-30s now. We were the best men in each other's weddings. We are at that stage where, if he called me, or I called him needing help, either of us would literally drop everything and come running. Despite that, we haven't seen each other, or spoken in 2 years. Our decades of friendship can never, and will never be erased. However, as adults we are very different people. If we met now we would not become close. We just don't have anything in common anymore other than our own history together. Our relationship has reached the stage where our only interaction is liking each other's pictures on Facebook occasionally.